My name is Alistair. I am your conference teacher for today's lesson. Now, on the screen, we can see the title. It's called Cleft Sentences, adding emphasis and variety to your speech. Okay, so we've got great, a couple more people there. Okay, so adding emphasis and variety to your speech. Cleft sentences. Okay, well, let's have a look at our agenda for today. Number 1, understanding cleft sentences. Number 2, it-cleft in action. Number 3, WH-clefts in action or pseudo-clefts. And number 4, using cleft sentences for style and clarity. Okay, guys, well, let's have a look at number 1. Understanding cleft sentences. So what is a cleft sentence? It's a good question. What is a cleft sentence? The definition of a cleft sentence, it is a sentence that splits one idea into 2 clauses to highlight part of it. So a cleft or split sentence. A cleft sentence splits one idea into 2 clauses to highlight part of it. Well, we have a great example straight away. John fixed the car. Okay, this is a great active speech sentence. John fixed the car. Now, we can create a cleft sentence by saying, it was John who fixed the car. It was John who fixed the car. So one idea, John fixed the car, into 2 clauses. It was John who fixed the car. Okay, well, we're just starting, so let's have a look at some more detail. So why use cleft sentences? It's a good question as well. Cleft sentences, they make your message more dramatic and clear, guiding the listener's focus. Some more examples. It was last night that we met. What I need is a break. Okay, so 2 great cleft sentences. Let's have a listen again. It was last night that we met. What I need is a break. So there are types of cleft sentences. We're going to look at the 2 main types today. Number 1, it-clefts. It was Sarah who called. And number 2, WH-clefts. What I like most is coffee. So both add emphasis, but their structures differ slightly. So both types of cleft sentences add dramatic emphasis, but their structures differ slightly. Now, spotting cleft sentences in speech. Okay, so comprehension. Cleft sentences appear naturally in everyday conversations, media, and even formal writing. You can often spot them by listening for patterns like it is or it was, and what is and what was, especially when the speaker wants to highlight or stress a particular detail. So these structures work subtly, but they are powerful in drawing the listener's attention exactly where the speaker intends. Indeed, they are. let's check them out in action. So we've got some it-clefts in action. Structure of it-clefts. Well, there is a form to structure a cleft with it. We use the word it plus the verb to be plus focused element and then the relative clause. We use the it-clefts to highlight people, things, time or place. So it-clefts are used to highlight people, things, time or place. So the focused element of an it-cleft is people, things, time or place. Okay, let's check out these examples. It was Anna who solved the problem. It is the weekend that I enjoy most. It was the manager who made the final decision. It was Anna who solved the problem. It is the weekend that I enjoy most. It was the manager who made the final decision. Fantastic. Okay, well, let's keep going. Here we go. So, emphasizing people with it-clefts. Focus on who did something important or noteworthy. Some more examples, of course. It was my father who taught me to swim. It is the chef who prepares the special dish. It was my best friend who introduced us. So by using it-clefts, we create emphasis for the person. It was my father. It was the chef. It was my best friend. And then we have our relative clause. Okay, here we go. Let's continue with the next screen. Now, the next screen is about emphasizing things or objects. Okay, so highlight an object or idea that is most relevant in the sentence. Okay, so examples. It was the red dress that caught my eye. It was honesty that I value. It is honesty that I value most in a friend. It was the old guitar that reminded me of my childhood. So in this structure, the highlight is on an object or idea. Now, in the structure, we follow the object or the thing or the idea with the word that. It was the red dress that caught my eye. Now, if we use a person, we don't use that in the relative clause, we use who. It was my father who taught me to swim. It was the red dress that caught my eye. Okay, well, we've had a look at these it-clefts. Okay, let's continue. This time thinking about a time or place. Point out a specific time or place with emphasis using it-clefts. Examples. It was last summer that we travelled to Greece. It is in Paris that we will meet. It was at midnight that the news arrived. So it was last summer. This is a time. It was in Paris. This is a place. It was at midnight. This is a time. Once again, it was last summer that we travelled to Greece. It is in Paris that we will meet. It was at midnight that the news arrived. Using it-clefts here to emphasize time or place. So we have a short dialogue to listen to related to it-clefts between A and B. Have a listen as I read through. Who started the project? It was Maria who started it. When did you move here? It was in 2019 that I moved. Where did you meet your business partner? It was at a networking event that we met. It was at a networking event that we met. So there's a short dialogue there using it-clefts. Okay, well let's move on now with the WH-clefts, or pseudo-clefts as they are known. So structure with WH-clefts. A WH-cleft begins with a WH word, also known as question words. Now, usually that word is what. This is followed by a clause, then the verb to be and the focus. So that's our structure. Let's have a look at it in some examples. What I need is a long holiday. What I need is a long holiday. So a long holiday is the focus. What is the WH word? We've got the clause I need and the verb to be. What I need is a long holiday. What makes me happy is music. What matters most is health. What I need is a long holiday. What makes me happy is music. What matters most is health. So that's the structure of the WH-cleft or the what-cleft. So focusing on actions, WH-clefts can emphasize specific actions you do or that others do. Examples. What inspires me is seeing progress every day. What inspires me is seeing progress every day. What motivates them is achieving their goals. What motivates them is achieving their goals. What challenges me is learning new skills. What challenges me is learning new skills. Fantastic. Okay. Well, let's now think about focusing on reasons. So we use WH-clefts to point out reasons behind actions or decisions. Our examples: what convinced me was your honesty. What convinced me was your honesty. What makes this city special is its people. What makes this city special is its people. What persuaded us to stay was the warm welcome. What persuaded us to stay was the warm welcome. What keeps me interested is the variety of tasks. What keeps me interested is the variety of tasks. Okay, so there we had some examples focusing on the reasons. Okay, now we can do some longer, more extended WH-cleft examples. So in longer sentences, WH-clefts allow you to add details for richer expression. Absolutely. So some extended language. Examples. What we should focus on is improving customer service for our loyal customers. What I really love about weekends is sleeping late and enjoying slow breakfasts. Let's read those two examples again. What we should focus on is improving customer service for our loyal customers. What I really love about weekends is sleeping late and enjoying slow breakfasts. Sounds great. Okay, well, we have a short dialogue here with some WH-clefts. Let's have a listen. Here we go. Why did you choose this course? What attracted me was the practical approach and the real-world projects. What makes you keep going? What keeps me going is my family's support and my passion for learning. And what do you enjoy most about it? What I enjoy most is seeing my ideas turn into real results. Okay. Well, moving on to the next part of our lesson today, which is all about using cleft sentences for style and clarity. So, adding variety to speech. This is a great reason to use cleft sentences. Cleft sentences help avoid repetition or repetitive sentence patterns and keep your listener's interest alive. So we've got some examples here. The first part is a regular active sentence. I met her in Rome. The cleft, it was in Rome that I met her. Okay, there's a slight story to that. I met her in Rome. It was in Rome that I met her. We stayed in a small village. Okay, it's great. It's active speech, but with some variety. It was in a small village that we stayed. It creates a more story-like language. Okay, it was in Rome that I met her. It was in a small village that we stayed. Okay, so we can use these clefts to create drama and suspense. Clefts can add surprise or intensity, especially in stories and anecdotes. Examples. It was after midnight that the phone rang. What shocked me was the unexpected ending. It was during the storm that the power went out. Okay, so we've got a mixture here of it-clefts and WH-clefts. It was after midnight that the phone rang. What shocked me was the unexpected ending. It was during the storm that the power went out. Okay, now of course, we hear these in very dramatic ways, perhaps in films. There's a very famous one at the start of a very famous series of films, Star Wars. It says at the start, it was in a galaxy a long time ago, or something like that. It's a great way to introduce storytelling. Okay. We can also use clefts as part of persuasive speaking. In arguments or speeches, clefts highlight key points and make them sound stronger. Examples. It is fair treatment that we demand. What we need is action, not words. It is equal opportunity that we are fighting for. Okay, so these examples, this is persuasive speaking, the sort of speaking that we might hear in a speech, a political speech, or another speech. In arguments or speeches, clefts highlight key points. Okay, they give them emphasis and strength. It is fair treatment that we demand. What we need is action, not words. It is equal opportunity that we are fighting for. Another great reason for using clefts. Okay, well, let's think about some everyday conversations. We've got some very short questions and answers here. How did you get here so fast? It was my friend who gave me a ride. What helped you decide? What helped me was the clear explanation. When did you realize it was the right choice? It was during the interview that I realized it was the right choice. Okay, here we go. Some questions and answers using clefts. So let's continue. Where, why, who, how, and similar words. Okay, now, although less common, cleft sentences can also start with where, why, who, how, and similar words. These question words. For example, how the children manage this is still a mystery to me. How the children manage this is still a mystery to me. So the structure for the WH cleft, it stays the same, but this time we're using a different word at the beginning instead of what. Number 2, we can also place the what clause at the end of the sentence. For example, the surfing we did was what I liked the most today. The surfing we did was what I liked the most today. So we can also place the what clause or the WH clause at the end of the sentence. Okay. Well, we have nearly finished for today. What remains to hear is our conclusion related to our clefts. So let's have a listen to the conclusion. In conclusion, cleft sentences act like a spotlight, directing attention exactly where you want it. With it-clefts, you can emphasize a person, object, time, or place. With WH clefts, you can highlight actions, reasons, or descriptions. Using them well adds variety, clarity, and rhythm to your speech, making your ideas more persuasive and memorable. So it's an extremely important function of language. Okay, guys, well, that is it for today. So thanks for watching. There we go. It just remains for me to thank you all on behalf of everyone there at Cercle de Langue, on behalf of myself as well. So thanks ever so much for your attendance today. I know we're in the middle of the August holiday, so it's great to have you guys here today. Thank you ever so much. But that is it for today. So I will be back here next Monday. I hope you are all able to join me then. In the meantime, have a great